Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be diving into other Linux commands such as cat, touch, echo and man pages. So as you can see, I'm on my Windows subsystem for Linux, currently situated at the directory folder, which is my present working directory, and you can see some folders. Let's see what the content of these folders are in order to get started. For this, whenever you want to get a bird's eye view of your file system, I would highly recommend you to use the tree command. In order to do so, you will have to run sudo apt install tree, and when you hit enter, it will ask for your password and you will have to enter. And once you have it updated or installed, if you do not have it already on your system, it will get installed or it will get updated. Either way, it's a pretty cool command. Once you are in your present working directory and when you hit tree, you would basically get a bird's eye view of your entire file system structure in a skeletal format. And as you can see, there are a couple of files. Let's move into demo. As you can see, I have a few files .txt at this location. The first command that I will be diving into is the cat command. Cat command is a command which is shorthand form for concatenate. This command is usually utilized for the process of displaying the contents of a file. In this case, I have a few text files, so let's demo the cat command on them. When I type cat file1.txt and hit enter, you can see that the content of that file is basically displayed. As you can see, it says, "Hi there, this is file1.txt." This command is useful in order to display the content of the specified command at the user's wish. However, the cat command is also useful for another purpose. It can also be used for the process of concatenating two or more files together. Let's say my content of file 2 is something like this, and I would like to concatenate the contents of these two files together. For that, you would type cat and then followed by the name of the files that you wish to concatenate, and when you hit enter, it basically returns you the content of the two files in a concatenated format. As you see, the contents are basically displayed consecutively, beginning with file 1 and followed by file 2. The cat command is highly useful in also doing the process of writing into the another file. Let's say if you have a new file called newfile.txt and you would like to copy the contents of file 1 into the new file. For the process, you would type cat, the name of the file, followed by a special symbol, a greater than symbol, followed by the name of the file that you wish to create, which would consist of the old data. And when you hit enter, and followed by ls, and when you hit cat new file.txt, you can see that the content of file1.txt has been concatenated into new file.txt. Now you can also do the same process again by appending into new file.txt without overwriting. If you would like to append more data, let's say if you want to add the data from file2.txt, and when you hit enter and when you write cat, it would effectively overwrite the contents of new file.txt, which is less than ideal. But in this case, you are interested in, let's say, appending the content of file 2 to the pre-existing data that you are already copied into new file.txt. In order to do that, you will add one more tag of the greater than symbol, and when you hit enter, when you hit cat new file.txt, you can see that the data that you had previously written into new file.txt has been preserved and has not been overwritten. Effectively, here the cat command has enabled you to append the contents of file2.txt into new file.txt. The cat command also has several other functionalities, such as displaying the serial numbers next to the content of your file. For that, you would basically use a special tag called -n followed by the name of the file. Let's say here you type new file.txt, and when you hit enter, you can see the number appear against the content line. This is a serialized version whereby which it makes it easier for you to count the number of lines present within your specific file. This is pretty cool if you are involved in work associated finding out the number of lines associated with the content of your file. Similarly, the cat command is highly versatile as it allows you to create a new file with the content that you would like to specify in real time. For that, you would have to use the less than symbol followed by EOF followed by the greater than symbol followed by the name of the file. Here we would create a new file called myfile.txt followed by the content, which would be, let's say, line 1, line 2, last line, followed by EOF. EOF basically stands for end of file. Here we basically prefix and postfix EOF before and after the content that you would like to write into the specific file when you are using the cat command. And when you hit enter, and let's see the content of my file, you can see that the data that we specified before and after EOF has been stored into myfile.txt. Pretty cool. Similarly, the cat command can be utilized for several other actions, such as you would like to see the content of your data. Let's say I'm quickly interested in knowing my scripts, if they are being manipulated, if it is there, so for a quick lookup kind of purposes, you can basically use the cat command. And when you hit enter, you can see that this is a simple script, bash script, which basically displays the present working directory. Similarly, you can also combine the contents or concatenate the content of multiple files into a new file. Let's say I'm interested in writing the contents of all my file.txt's into a new file. For that, I would use a special character called the asterisk symbol, which would stand for the names of any of the txt files, followed by the extension. Let's say this would be a placeholder for the names of the files, followed by the extension of the file that you are interested in. So here effectively what we are saying is that I would like to take the contents of all the txt files and store it into some other file. Let's say combine file, combine text.txt, and when you hit enter, and let's see the content, you can see that effectively the contents of all the txt files have been stored into combined text.txt. This is pretty cool. If you can also do this similarly by specifying the names, but in this case I felt it was quite tedious. So for example, if you are only interested in writing the contents of file 1, 2, 3 into some, I guess, new file .txt, you can also achieve the same by doing so. So this allows you to work with high degree of functionality. This is the power of the cat command, whether you are viewing the content or concatenating files or redirecting output from one file into another or combining multiple files. It is highly indispensable and highly useful for purposes of performing file manipulation. The next command that we'll be moving to is called the touch command. The touch command is a kind of a command which is used for creating empty files or in order to update timestamp or other attributes associated with an existing file. Let's say I am interested in creating an empty text file. Okay, for the purposes of this, we will move up into another directory. Let's say we will move into directory, and I would like to create a file called new file.txt, and I wish that this particular text file would be empty. For performing that, you would basically write touch followed by the name of the file that you desire to create, and when you hit enter, you can see that this kind of a file has been created. The touch command can also allow you to update certain attributes associated with your content. Let's say you have this new file.txt that which you created right now. You can view the attributes associated with it, such as the date of its latest modification. To do so, you can also coming back to the point, you can modify this data. I guess that might be a little bit complicated, but before I do that, I would also like to show you that you can also create multiple empty files as similar to the cat command by doing the same. So you can specify these text files one by one, and you hit enter, you can see that those multiple files have been created. Coming back to my point, as you can see, you can modify these attributes such as the date and the time associated with the latest creation. These are basically timestamps. You can modify this by writing touch -t, which is basically an option which basically specifies that you would like to modify the timestamps. Now when you write this new attribute that you are assigning, this is a user defined attribute, you would always write it in a YYMMDD format. And if you want to also specify the hour and the minute when it was modified, you will again concatenate. You will always write it in HH and MM formats. And if you want to even modify the data such as the seconds, you can always specify that as SS. But to do so, you basically mention or specify that data post a decimal point followed by the name of the file that you wish to modify. In this case, let's say I want to modify a new file.txt. So let's say I would like to modify this attribute associated with new file.txt by specifying the year. Let's say 2025, right? This is the year, followed by the month, let's say somewhere in March, followed by the date, so for example let's say the 12th, followed by the hour, by the date and then the hour, which is, let's say, yeah, I guess this, and then fourth, yeah, and the specific hour would be 0800, and the seconds are, I guess, 00. When you hit enter, okay, sorry guys, I seem to have made a mistake. 2025 3, let's see, I see the issue. Let me try that again. Touch -t 2025 1, save this. Yeah, and when you type ls-l, you can see that we have modified the date to January 24 0800 for the year 2025. The next command that we'll be talking about would be the echo command. The echo command is kind of similar to the Python equivalent of print or Java's printf. It basically takes your string without any of the parentheses. You can simply write your string within the double quotes, and then when you hit enter, it would basically be displayed onto the terminal. The echo command also kind of functions like the cat, whereby which you can type your content or data into let's say a new file that doesn't exist. When you hit enter, that file is created, and as you can see, that data is there. You can also again append new data into the same file as before by typing new file txt, and when you hit enter, say cat new file txt, you can see that data has been appended. Echo command also allows you to work with escape sequences, which basically are special characters which do not appear upon execution. Let's say you use something like /n. This basically depicts a new line character, simply meaning that when this specific line of string is executed, it won't be interpreted as a direct text but as a special new line, so it basically appears as new line. But here, if you type it directly like this, it won't appear as a new line. So for that, in order for interpretation of these kinds of escape sequences, you basically have to also combine it with a hyphen option, which is a -e, and when you type, let's say hyphen line 1 line 2, when you hit enter, you can see that the new line character has been detected. The echo is pretty cool if you want to get versatile with writing data and scripts. This is pretty useful. Let's say you are creating a bash file. Let's say bash hello.txt.sh, and you would like to greet the user. So for the purposes of that, you would be using the echo command. Right now I have opened a VI editor in order to write this. So let's say you basically import the bash interpreter, and let's say echo welcome to the Linux terminal, welcome to Linux, let's say. And then yeah, you can just exit, save it, and when you write bash hello, you can see that that specific bash command has been executed. Another easy way of doing this would be basically writing this kind of an import or these texts without the help of VI itself. So you can basically use something like echo, let's say echo, we are importing the bash interpreter, bash, say, and then let's say we can write greet.sh. So yeah, sorry, I will have to create that. So let's create that, touch. Let's create this file, greet.sh, type echo, this? Dash to read dot sh. Let's write echo let's do that again. Let's greet search. Let's again modify ls cat greet. See if the content is there. Yeah, I guess it is there. And when you write like execute this search, yeah, the permission, you'll have to modify the permission whenever you are doing this. Let's modify execution. Let's give it execute permissions, and let's try that again. So you can see that effectively with echo, without the help of vi, I have effectively made a script which allows you to greet the user with the help by simply using echo. So this is pretty cool. Moving on, the next command that I will be talking about is man. Now man basically is a shorthand notation form of referring to manual or man pages. So these are basically used in combination with commands whenever you have no clue about what that particular command might be doing. It's like an encyclopedia which is already there inbuilt within every Unix distribution. So let's say I am interested in knowing more about the echo command. You can basically write the man followed by the specific command that you are interested in, and when you hit enter, it basically opens up the user commands manual. So this is highly useful if you are a beginner or an advanced user who is new to Unix or Linux distributed operating systems, and you are interested in knowing more about each of these commands which might be new to you. And in order to navigate these man pages, you basically use your arrow keys which are there on your keyboard. The up arrow key to move up and the down arrow key to move down, and when you hit spacebar you move to the next page, and if you want to move back to the previous page you basically hit the B key. So when you hit B, it moves back to the previous page. Usually man pages have a uniform format. They are basically divided into specific sections which have different types of information, such as the name, which basically consists of the name of the command, as well as the brief description. Here you can simply see that it basically displays a line of text, followed by the synopsis, which is a general usage and options related to the command, and the description, which gives you a very detailed information associated with each of these commands, such as the specific tags. So you might be wondering where are the tags coming from, so that kind of specific information, the escape sequences and all that has also been mentioned here, as well as the authors to whom all the credit goes to has also been cited here. So this is pretty cool. You get to know so much more about the history of each of these commands, and if you want to exit, you basically click on the Q button on your keyboard in order to escape out of man pages. As a beginner, I would highly recommend you to dive into each of the commands with the help of the man pages in order to know more about new commands that you might not be familiar. Instead of quickly looking up, you can always do that, but that kind of an information has already been given to the user with each of these distributions which are there. Alternatively, you can also use something called as help. So like, let's say I want to again know something a little bit more about echo. So you basically need to type the command, the name of the command, followed by 2 hyphens and help, and when you hit enter, it basically gives you the data associated with it. So to give you a brief summary of the command, in this case let's try that again. Help. Yeah, so yeah, I suppose it is not as versatile as on the man pages, but you get the gist. It might be only be useful for a summarized version of each of the commands. As you can see, it is similarly mentioned. You can see that it gives you a short description followed by all the other options associated with it, and so on and so forth. Similarly, you can also use something called as info followed by the name of the command in order for you to see the data associated with each of these. It is highly useful, versatile, yeah, so definitely check that out. As a beginner, you would be using these options frequently, and when you hit Q, you can again exit. So I hope you learned something today, and I guess until next time, bye.